Now we're going to be working on the stay out in the arena. So I have a little bit bigger mat, a little bit easier for him to see. He wants to go and put his feet on it right away, so that is awesome. That's definitely an improvement. I give him my cue. He wants to kind of take a step forward. Even though he's still on the mat, I'm just going to be like, no. I'm just going to ask him to back up again. And then I do a little bit smaller step, just a half a step backwards, and then reinforce him for that. So he's just getting confused right in the beginning of the behavior when I ask, and he thinks he's supposed to follow me. So that's where I think it's going to be really important that I have both my verbal whoa cue and my tactile, like, head on the forehead cue. So it's very clear I want this stay behavior. And it was my fault for not being very consistent with that tactile cue. So, but once he's doing it, like, he's really, he gets it, and he stays. So I think part of that tactile behavior is he would kind of not want me to touch his forehead. So what I try to do instead was just kind of put my hand right above his forehead instead of touching it all the way. So he still has that visual cue, but then he's not like as annoyed with that. So visual cue and the whoa cue, the verbal cue, and then I start backing away. So, and I've practiced both through kind of throughout the lessons here of training this. Um, so I'm gonna being inconsistent with my visual cue, but we have practiced both in the arena, in the grooming area, and in the round pen. So he's being pretty solid with this. He just gets a little confused in the beginning because usually he's going from he was leading and following me to now he's standing, in that transition into that is a little bit of the trickier part for this. But once he gets it there, I can go varying distance away from him, and he stays, and he's pretty solid here too. He's not really moving his head around too much, so this looks really good. I'm just kind of getting to the end of my rope and then clicking and feeding, and I'm doing a little bit of different here. Like I did some where I just kind of backed away from him so I could still see him, and now I'm turning my back to him and walking away from him. So, and he's doing great with both of those. We've done lessons with on just one or the other, and now I'm kind of combining the two together. So visual cue, verbal cue. Now I'm walking away, get to the end, I click, and then reinforce and come back. So he's making some improvements. Still a little bit of confusion, but not too bad. He's really getting it. So that looks really good. And really, I could have put on the other lead rope and use that longer one as well, or I could have just throw it on the ground and do that too. But I do like that it's kind of moving around and he still doesn't feel the need to follow me. He's very clear that he's supposed to stay on this mat. So that is really good. I like all of that. So I'm just going to give him a little jackpot here on the mat. I kind of put the rope up. So sometimes I can stand with the rope up too. Doesn't matter. The rope can be on the ground. I'm just kind of mixing it up here for him. So that looks pretty good. And I can go and get whatever other tools I need while he's on the mat. The other thing about the big mat that I should have been using a while ago is it's obviously bigger, it's easier for him to see, it's easier for him to know that he's on it. I can also reinforce him and give him a jackpot on there while his feet are still on it. So I probably should have used that bigger mat just from earlier on, just to help him out. Just same thing with that bigger target, just make things a little bit more clear for him. And then when I want him to come off, I'm going to take that rope off. I'm going to give him a clear cue forward with the lead rope and with my voice cue so that he knows he's supposed to come off the mat with me. So now we're going to work on that sideways toward again. So I just asked him to stop, so I'm going to reinforce him for that. Ask for that shoulder over, beautiful, and then I'm going to ask immediately for that hip. See if I can start pairing them together here. There we go, kind of. A little bit of a hip. So I'm going to reinforce that, and then now I'm going to start putting like those two together. So not just reinforcing for the shoulder and the hip, I'm reinforcing for both. So kind of had more forward movement than anything. So we got a little bit of a sideways with the shoulder, and then we got a little bit with the hip. Perfect. And I'm not having to use my lead rope around his hips. Give him multiple handfuls here so he knows the behavior I am reinforcing is exactly what I want. So again, shoulder, and then hip. There, we got a little bit of sideways there. That looks perfect. That was awesome. So, and I'm going to start that behavior with the shoulder. So it's important that I'm sticking to one or the other. I don't want to ask for the hip and then the shoulder, and then sometimes the shoulder and then the hip. He's going to be confused. I always start this with the shoulder first. It kind of gets him unstuck, and then he starts going into that sideways. So that looks really, really nice. I'm going to pet on him, scratch on him while he eats that. Maybe he's like, maybe you don't really want that. That's all right. I'm going to ask him for that shoulder again. Nice. Step over there. He's really getting that sideways over. So perfect. That's what I was really looking forward to. to doing and putting those together. That's what I was looking for. It just took a really long time to build that hip behavior specifically. Here he wants to kind of go around a circle. I'm going to go put him back in front of the camera. That's not the behavior I was looking for. He's kind of offering that sideways over. That's not exactly what I was looking for. So other direction, there we go, some sideways. So he's offering a little bit of sideways to me on his own. That's perfect. At this point, I don't care if he's moving without me asking. If he's just offering sideways, that's totally fine. I will take it. So I'm just moving him here so that he's on this other side so that the camera can see. And then he's stopping when I ask for him to whoa, so I'm reinforcing that. Ask for that shoulder over. And there he's going right into the sideways. Perfect. I'll go ahead and click that. I need to click and feed that. That was perfect. Yeah, I'm asking for too much too soon here. I needed to reinforce that. I missed that opportunity there. Because he was giving me such good sideways and I just kind of ignored it. And now he's like hesitant to do so because I missed that big step there. So he does give me a little bit of sideways, but not nearly as much as he did in the beginning there because I missed that opportunity. So that was definitely my fault. I need to be paying attention to that and reinforcing that. Even though he didn't do it right off of the cue, he's still giving me great sideways steps. Ask again. He wants to go forward. I'm going to tell him that's not what I want. I'm just going to prevent that forward movement. See how he really gets confused after I didn't reinforce that? I need to be on top of it and paying attention to what he's giving me. So I got the sideways. So see, now I've gone back and just reinforced that sideways. Ask for the hip. And now he's just kind of standing there. There, finally the hip comes over. So just by missing that one opportunity there to reinforce, and he really gave me some good sideways steps, he's thinking, okay, well, that's not the behavior that she wants. So I gotta be really, really careful with that. So I have a little bit of a step over with the shoulder. There we go, a little bit more sideways. So I really need to pay attention to what I'm reinforcing. It doesn't matter if he doesn't go right off of the cue. If he's offering that sideways, I need to reinforce it. But that looks good. We're getting in the right direction here.